Hello, I'm Simon Evison and welcome to Property Box News. Coming up, I'll be looking at the new legislations to regulate HMOs, tackle the problem of rogue landlords and generally clean up the letting industry. But first, green efficient homes are important to many people these days, and that also includes renters. A well-insulated home will keep energy bills low during the winter months. In a recent survey commissioned by PC World Business and undertaken by YouGov, 80% of people questioned agree that property owners should give consideration to the environmental impact of their property and undertake measures to ensure that it is environmentally friendly. Simon Moyle, Head of Business Solutions at PC World Business, said in an increasingly competitive housing market, it is imperative that private landlords give serious consideration to the demands of the modern-day tenant. Legacy student and investor Mike West explains the steps he and his son Chris have taken in their recent refurb project in Portsmouth to ensure the property is as energy efficient as it can be.
This has the potential to be quite a cold kitchen, so we'll be pulling ceilings down in here, insulated plasterboard in. We'll be taking some precautions there just to make sure that wall doesn't get damp.
This one?
Yeah,
yes, the outside
and then
one, yeah.
Insulated plasterboard on that. And by the time we finish, it'll be a nice cosy kitchen.
Mike and Chris are HMO landlords, and HMOs have come under scrutiny of late. The government has for some time now been pushing hard to improve living conditions in the private rented sector in an effort to drive out rogue landlords. Although in a minority, high-profile cases of landlords being fined thousands of pounds for overcrowding or poor conditions do little to improve the image of landlords, who too often appear as greedy money grabbers. The Housing Act 2004 brought into force the licensing of HMO property and defined that properties containing 5 or more individuals and over 3 floors required a licence to operate. Since then, stricter enforcement has been brought in throughout the country by individual councils. For example, Peterborough earlier this year brought in selective licensing within areas of high levels of rental property. Landlords accredited to a recognised association had to pay £50 per property. Those not accredited were expected to pay £600 per single let property and £750 for an HMO, emphasising the need for regulation and qualification in a largely unregulated industry. Many councils have made HMO licensing more stringent than the Housing Act stipulates. In Oxford and the London Borough of Ealing, it's now necessary to have a licence if you have an HMO over 2 stories and 4 or more people sharing. Barnet Council also implemented a similar legislation in July. Councillor Irene Walsh of Peterborough said selective licensing will allow us to have a more active role in ensuring all private tenants are able to live in housing that is safe, of high standard, appropriately managed and offers appropriate tenancy protection. Southampton, Islington, Nottingham and Norwich have all handed out hefty fines for breaches of HMO regulations in recent months, as have Swindon, Birmingham and Brighton. Notting Hill Council handed down the largest fine this year of £47,000 to a landlord in February. When quizzed, the councillors responsible for these enforcements had similar responses to Southampton councillor David Shields. He said the council is determined to improve the quality of local housing and ensure a better balance for all the city's neighbourhoods. As previously reported, there is now a mandatory registration scheme in Wales that all landlords must comply with. Welsh landlord and legacy trainer Sean Thompson had this comment: I believe it is the first step in providing a standard of quality across Wales for tenants in rented accommodation. This should be seen as a positive step to weed out landlords providing substandard living accommodation for tenants. The educated investor will welcome this news. It's clear then across the country that there is a concerted effort to standardise and improve living conditions in the private rented sector, and definite steps are being made to expose irresponsible and immorally acting landlords. Throughout the industry, professional, well-educated investors are in agreement. The better the standard of accommodation, the better the image for the landlord. Arden Hanley, investor and mentor, sums it up well. Professional landlords should not be frightened of regulation. The intention of this legislation is to deal with the rogue element that gives all landlords a bad name. By staying aware of developments in regulation, we can plan our refurbishment and design of HMOs to future-proof them against these changes. So, as long as you stay abreast of changes and are compliant, your HMO investment can stay on the right side of the law and, more importantly, profitable. That's all from me this week. See you next time. Goodbye. Hello, my boy. Hello, my boy. Hello, my boy. How are you? Please put that in. No, stop it. Right.